I was recently asked to help someone pick out a new computer. And not just a run-of-the-mill PC. The client wanted a computer especially to do audio and video editing, and they needed to stay under $1,000. It sounded like it was going to be a piece of cake because I had just priced one for myself for projects I'm planning / currently working on. What I found was a 4.6 gigahertz 6-core CPU with 32 gigs of RAM and a 2 terabyte hard drive for around $800. The motherboard that I had chose was using integrated audio and video. Not too far into the conversation with my client, they told me that they wanted to build a gaming PC to use for both editing and gaming, with the idea being that a gaming computer needs the same equipment that an editor box uses. I understand why people think that having a gaming computer means that they have a system that can handle anything. Gaming computers are typically described as beastly machines that handle insane amounts of calculations. But gaming computers rely mostly on expansion cards, audio and graphic cards. And these cards are purpose-built to do certain calculations faster and more efficiently than the CPU. The intention behind these cards are to reduce the total load on the CPU. And that sounds like it would be really important for editing. For audio editing, high-end sound cards don't improve the final mix or the quality of the final file. That still falls to the CPU, which is doing the final writing of the MP3 or FLAC file. For video editing, you may see some improvement in the amount of time spent rendering. If you're doing something very complicated that requires multiple rendering sessions to layer special effects, you will save some waiting time. Video cards only handle a fraction of the workload during rendering. The bulk of the work is still done by the CPU. Plus, rendering is just one small part of editing. Most of the time, editing is just selecting what you're going to show and when. That doesn't require a high-spec graphics card. RAM has a bigger effect on how well editing software performs, more than any video card. Editing software has to be able to do previews from multiple large files stored in memory and play back video from several video sources, sometimes at the same time. To do that smoothly, a computer system needs lots of RAM. In the process of editing, being able to play back 8 or 10 seconds over and over again will let you catch mistakes and fine-tune things. Sometimes it may take 4 or 5 tries in 5 minutes to get something properly smoothed out. Any advantage video cards give you during rendering just are not worth the money if you have to wait 20 minutes to render every time you make one little tweak to a video. Now, it is possible to build a gaming computer under $1,000. But to do that, you have to sacrifice the high-speed processor and probably limit the amount of RAM to around about 8 gigs. For editing, that makes for a very sluggish program. And likewise, if you're building a gaming computer, there are no advantage to having more than a quad-core processor. The games don't run any smoother, and there aren't any more stable with 6 or 8 cores. Typically when people are playing games, they're not running large programs in the background, so there's no real advantage to having large amounts of RAM. Your money would be better spent on graphics cards and cooling. There are games that you have a tactical advantage if you have a high-end graphics card. Now, if you have the money, you can build a maxed out system. The highest processor you can buy, the most amount of RAM you could stuff into a motherboard, and as many video cards and cooling as you can afford, along with the latest Sound Blaster card. Depending on what you're doing, whether it's gaming or something else, in the end you've spent a lot of money on components that you're not really getting the most out of. And most people really don't have the money to do that. Or they're just more thoughtful about how they spend their money. And you can use a gaming computer to do anything. But it's kind of like cooking a grilled cheese sandwich on a clothes iron. Or using a blowtorch to cook a hot dog. You could do it, but they are not the right tools for the job. Thanks for watching, and good luck. To subscribe, click the channel icon on the top left. Top right is the previous video, and below that is a random suggestion from YouTube. Thanks again.